it's time to get into the more serious stuff. Kind of want to catch up on the whole rioting in Tarantino, but first let's look at what's going on in New York, because of course the stupid liberals over here started going
Dozens
crazy.
of anti-ICE protesters clashed with police in Lower Manhattan last night. They were taken into custody after breaching a barrier.
Yeah, like some idiot fucking went to one of the Brooklyn police stations and just fucking lit a bunch of cars on fires. Like he just lit all the police station's cars on fires. Like, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you gonna do if somebody starts jumping you and starts robbing you and shit, and now you want to call the cops? Well, guess what, bozo? Now they're not gonna come in, be able to help you because you just fucking burned all their cars, you stupid fuck.
That were set
my
up
God,
by
dude. Some
the
people are just so
NYPD to keep
stupid.
them on the sidewalks and to prevent them from.
So as the protests in LA get national media attention, activists here
like
in
crazy,
New York
bro. It's like
are
some people
just
can't
getting
think.
started. And they're now flooding the streets of America's largest sanctuary city,
literally just hurting
overwhelming
yourself.
police on a nightly basis. However, the mayor of New York has said he will not tolerate violent activism or attacks on law enforcement. But to agitators here, that sounds more like a challenge than a threat.
This was
Look
the
at these
chaos that
idiots,
erupted
dude.
last night. 86 arrests. And federal agents overnight deploying tear gas into a crowd. The NYPD says it had the situation under control.
Demonstrators were armed with signs, face coverings, and flags. Some were led away to NYPD buses in zip ties, while others were wrestled to the ground by cops dressed in riot gear.
We are not afraid, and we will not be bullied. And you can't lock us all up.
And on top of that, which is even more disgraceful and disgusting.
I mean, but they literally actually can, though. Like, you're saying that, but they literally actually can, though, because it's such a small amount of you idiots that are doing this. Like, the only people who are fucking doing this are people that did not vote for Trump, dude. Like, that's it. It's actual, like, fucking people who are claiming that they love democracy, but when they lose an election, they just can't take it, and they're trying to do everything in their power to, like, change the outcome to something that they like. That's not democracy, dude. That's, like, what the fuck?
Disgusting. Top
so
NYPD
stupid.
officials are playing golf with Donald Trump.
At times, protesters were clashing with police,
so
but during
what?
the day, those protests were mostly peaceful.
Can't play
Police
golf
called
now?
a level 3 mobilization
the city,
at
but he
some
can't play
point
golf?
after
Like, that
9
makes
p.m.
sense.
And the protests broke up after midnight, and we're told most of those protesters will be processed and released.
And while last night's rally appeared to be larger than other recent protests, New York hasn't seen the same level of chaos as Los Angeles, at least not yet.
How is this a peaceful protest if there's no
Yeah, you seen this clown? Yeah, this is the actual clown that I was talking about before, too.
So these protests, they are starting to overwhelm the city and our police, but what nobody's talking about is that this radical, not-so-peaceful activism, although it gets on the news and goes viral, how does this legitimize the idea of illegal immigration? Looting,
doesn't. It
rioting,
actually does
attacking
nothing
police,
for
these
you.
are not things law-abiding Americans think are okay, and now those things are directly associated with people breaking our immigration laws. But here's the thing, New York isn't law-abiding. It's the country's largest sanctuary city, and everyone here protesting only has their eye on defeating public enemy number one, which is why protesters recently stormed Trump Tower again. And what's crazy is we're at a major impasse in American society. The views of these rioters might be popular in LA and here, but not anywhere else, which has created a huge
Yeah, literally, dude. It's literally just only in these two liberal fucking states, dude. Like, just only liberal states. Like, that's the only place where this shit is happening, dude.
huge catch-22
It's
for those
hilarious.
running sanctuary cities. For example, in New York, all of our leading mayoral candidates are refusing to condemn the protesters or call for peace in our streets. And their platform for getting elected just involves standing up to President Trump, whatever that means.
Yeah,
but that brings us to the
that's
real
all
reason
it
why
is.
these protests are happening
Just,
in
hey, you should vote for me 'cause I'm not
cities.
Trump.
These
Like,
are
what
the
the fuck
only
do they
places
mean,
left
bro?
in America where you've got this critical mass of lawlessness.
Like, that's why all these people fucking lose, dude. Because they don't realize that the reason why we voted for Trump is because he is Trump, dude. He gets shit done. Like, what the fuck? Are you stupid? You're basically saying, hey, dude, vote for me because I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna sit on my ass not doing shit. That's why you should vote for me. Because I'm not Trump. Like, bro, That's basically what you just
And if you
fucking
want to see a
saying.
map of where the next riots or protests will
look at that
probably
shit.
happen, here you go. But that's the thing.
Look at
Most
this.
of the
Literally
country
just a
is
small
red right
like,
now, and the
small minority
law-abiding
of
for
states, dude.
years
The
have
majority of
silently
states are, like,
suffered under the
normal.
attacks of agitators. And to most of America,
Normal
a
people.
president who's willing to deploy troops and send Marines to quell domestic uprisings will be hailed as a hero for standing up to the mob. But as you're about to see, the mob is already in the process of taking over New York City, and it's not exactly being peaceful about it. There's a lot of barriers out here, and that's because we're at ground zero for all of this recent protest activity, which is now happening on a regular basis here in New York. We're by the federal building where there's an ICE office and an immigration court, and this is the area violent activists immediately received proof they can do whatever they want here. Because although police have arrested a massive number of people, most of those arrested just get tickets and then get released, which will surely stop them from coming back, right?
Yeah, so that was the scene in Lower Manhattan
100%.
last night when protesters clashed with police after jumping over metal barricades, and as I said, they interrupted traffic. Demonstrators were
look at
armed
these
with
fucking
signs,
clowns. If you
face
love
coverings,
Mexico
and
so much,
flags.
go over there,
Some were
dude.
led away to NYPD buses in zip ties, while others were wrestled to the ground. And
So let's get one thing straight. The people here that are doing this, they're watching what they see on the television, and their goal is to make the same thing happen here that's happening in Los Angeles. And it's worth mentioning that every violent protest always starts off as peaceful, because there's always a moment of peace when the agitators line themselves up before causing chaos.
Yeah.
On top of that, New York, just like California, has a rather lax justice system. Most of the stuff that would get you thrown in jail, like robbery or assault, here doesn't. And this no consequences environment has emboldened protesters who think they can do pretty much whatever they want. And even though our police are out in force and made 86 arrests, 34 of those individuals were detained overnight, then released, and the other 52 were just given tickets for disorderly conduct. And even though New York's finest are among the best police in the entire country, this just gives the protesters their battling practice, interacting with police, getting arrested, which is only going to help them remain on the streets and out of the back of these police cars. But look at how this whole peaceful narrative keeps getting pushed in relation to these protests.
Protesters were clashing with police, but during the day, those protests were mostly peaceful. Let's take a look at some of the video we have from last night. Police called a level 3 mobilization at some point after 9 p.m. And the protests broke up after midnight, and we're told most of those protesters will be processed and released. Like you mentioned, we know approximately 8.
So during the day, there was peace, but not at night, probably because criminals love the cover of darkness. But here's the other thing. If you spend all day listening to speech after speech of people who just rile you up, eventually it's going to be too much. There's only so much hate a person can endure and believe before they decide to act out on it in an attempt to save a world they think is collapsing. And these activists think that by attacking an ICE facility, they're somehow on the right side of history. And they think if they stay silent, America will morph into the Soviet Union, even though most of the protesters are associated with these socialist causes. But the fact of the matter is these protests cannot and will not stay peaceful, because the people involved in them truly believe that by enforcing immigration law, the president of our country is going to destroy it somehow.
This is about as big of a crowd marching as I've seen in the city in quite some time. They're leaving Police Square now, making their way west through Tribeca. Police basically out of sight, allowing this constitutionally protected and peaceful march.
Wow, isn't it wonderful? A massive group of people marching down the street, about to boil over, no police in sight. That'll teach them to behave themselves. Some of these folks are just waiting for the right moment to make their move. And what you're going to see happening is the same agitators getting arrested and released and arrested and released over and over again. And as that happens, they'll just bring more people to their cause because no consequence actually happens. Showing up at one of these things, damaging property, or attacking the police won't result in anyone's loss of freedom, because here these types of offenses have been decriminalized. None of this is actually wrong as far as our laws are concerned. I'm sorry, but tickets and fines do not keep radical agitators out of the back of police cars. But wait till you hear how local leaders here are just making everything worse.
We are not afraid.
The actual consequences.
And we will not be bullied.
Yeah, and this is why they keep doing it, because they're not afraid. They should be afraid. They actually can, because it's such a small amount of you. Like this bitch thinks that it's like the whole city that's fucking, you know, like, no, bro, this is just you crazy fucks doing this shit. Because for some reason you guys, you know, think it's a good idea to fucking want illegal immigrants here that 95% of them are literally like fucking criminals. Rapists, murderers, you know, in a gang or some shit. It's like, bro, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, that is not a
That's
message
literally
of peace.
who they're
Telling the
fucking
people
fighting
listening
for.
to you that there are more of us than there are
Which
of
is
them, and they
actually
can't put us
absurd
all
to
in
me.
jail, and we're gonna fight. That's not a peaceful message. No, it's not. Because if people
Yeah.
are peaceful, they won't need to go to jail. Literally 0 people are getting arrested for peacefully protesting. The people in jail are violent, dangerous, causing chaos. And we're looking at the makings of a movement that our local laws are powerless to stop. Because as we've been learning, even if the protesters get locked up, they'll get released, and they
They'll
can
just
come
be
back to the
released.
scene of the
Yeah.
crime.
Like literally, it's like clockwork, dude. Like they go in and then just go out, like within a couple of hours. You're not even there like the whole night. You just like, you know, it's like a cheat code. It's like Nikolai Bellic just whipping out a cell phone and, you know, clicking 4 buttons, and then all the heat from the cops just vanishes. You know, all stars gone.
I am right here by the ICE building. But as you're
crazy,
about to
dude.
see,
It's
unlike Los
crazy.
Angeles, where the mayor and the governor have taken the side of the protesters, here rabble-rousers have another enemy besides President Trump.
The public advocate blasting Mayor Adams, calling him a Trump wannabe.
Mayor Eric Adams is nowhere to be found in a city full of immigrants.
You hear this, guys?
And on top of that,
City full of immigrants. You hear this guy? What are you talking about, dude? I'm not an immigrant, dummy. I was born here. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? This guy just acts like everybody's an immigrant in New York. Like, that's all New York. This guy, these people really actually think that everybody here is illegal and just we're all immigrant. No, dude. Some of us are actually born here and are Americans, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? My own man, my supervisor right now who's training me, he's full American, dude. Like, his parents were born here in Brooklyn. He was born here in Brooklyn. Like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, dude. Like, these people just act like, you know, just because a couple of immigrants come here that, you know, we're made from immigrants. No, dude, that's not the fucking case. 90% of people that be acting like they fucking know about America don't actually know shit about America, and this is probably why we should have written exams and shit before you become a citizen. So we don't have fucking morons like this, dude, that just think, oh yeah, America was built on the backs of immigrants, we're made by immigrants. No, we're fucking not, you stupid idiots. America was literally made by Englishmen who were tired of getting taxed and unrepresented unfairly by the king, so they went to America and started their own shit. That's literally what America is. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know who fed these people these lies that America is just like, man, a bunch of immigrants, but it's not, dude. You're literally just fighting another UK battle, basically. This is basically just fucking, you know, UK 2, but better, if you want to look at it this way. That's literally what it was. They basically just wanted UK, but like actually fair. So that's what America turned into. They made their own shit, you know? That's literally what it was. So I don't know what all these people think that fucking America was founded on immigrants. No, dude. That literally didn't happen till like later on.
which is even more disgraceful and
Where all these
disgusting.
people got
Top
this shit from?
NYPD officials are playing golf with Donald Trump while people are being arrested.
So it's not just that the mayor of New York has said he's not going to tolerate lawless, aggressive protests. The entire NYPD is now on the bad side of these activists because 2 of their members would go and play golf with the president. Never mind, golf itself isn't a very progressive activity. Here they are, hanging out with the enemy and smiling about it. How terrible. But let's be real, it's not like these protesters were pro-law enforcement and didn't want to keep defunding the police before this happened. They're just looking for an excuse. And the problem is, even though we've got some of the best police in the whole country, they're gonna have a Los Angeles-style situation on their hands pretty soon if they don't already. Even though, as you're about to see, this situation may already be much bigger than anyone here understands.
I'm a member.
Oh, great. Okay.
So basically,
Morning.
This over here is the entrance to the federal building protesters wish they could smash their way into and liberate people from. But the NYPD, our leaders are telling us they've got all the tools they need to handle this.
liberate
After all,
themselves
we've got
by
a
going
police
back to their own
force of
country.
30,000
It's
officers,
literally
the
that easy,
largest
better.
in the country. However, anyone
that
who's
hard.
been following the
It is
news
not
here
rocket
knows that police force is too small for this city's over 8 million residents. And we've got so few cops that when we pull them off the streets and send them into the subway subway to stop crime down there, crime comes back with a vengeance above ground while continuing on our dilapidated public transit system. And since we've already got out of control crime here that we can't seem to stop, if protests happen on top of that, it might be too much.
The New York City Police Department, we are expert in policing protests. We have lots of practice at it, and our cops are the best of the world. It is our responsibility to maintain safety
Oh,
and
yeah,
order
you
on our
think
streets,
so?
and we will not abdicate that responsibility.
You gotta love how on the screen they're showing a massive number of people blocking roads and causing chaos, the same people who just a few hours from whenever that was shot would then go on to riot and attack officers. Now look, the NYPD,
What I'm
our
saying,
officers,
dude.
they are very well trained.
Like, dude, me personally, I'd rather have Florida's, police department, dude. They're not fucking around, dude. Oh my god, dude. Like, they're not fucking around, bro. They do not give a shit. The police captain or whatever, he just straight up went, hey, dude, if you're in a way, we're gonna run you over. If you attack a cop, you'll be sent in a body bag. Yo, that shit is crazy, dude. And look how fast they were able to tame their shit, dude. I don't see any riots in Florida. I don't see nothing going on in Florida. They tamed their people, dude. They tamed the stupidity. And that's it. That's all you fucking need, dude. That's all you fucking need.
And do they deal with radical activists all the time? Yes, absolutely, but that's not the point. The point is we don't have enough police to keep everybody safe at once, and if massive protests happen, any officers that show up to deal with those protests will have to come from somewhere else, which is exactly what happened last summer when the Tren de Aragua gang from Venezuela had their minions robbing people in Central Park. We sent all of our cops there to secure the place, and after we sent the cops into Central Park to secure it, look at this, crime skyrocketed in all the areas around the park where there weren't any police. Which means this is not about how well the police are trained. Nobody's debating that. The problem is if you don't have enough of them and problems happen, you're gonna have more problems.
But that's also what happens when you fucking start telling people, oh, yeah, don't trust the police, don't work with the police are Nazis. Like, that's literally what happens when all you spread is just that cops are evil and shit. Now, nobody's gonna want to be a cop, i.e. you're gonna have less cops, i.e. you're gonna have less protection, i.e. more crime. Like, I don't know, man.
A special unit called our Strategic Response Group, and what this unit of several hundred cops does is police and work with protesters, and so they are really
these people act like things don't correlate with each other, and it's not like a chain link.
This is all true,
effect,
but it's all in the context of an understaffed police force who's already got its hands
you're lowering
full
morale.
with
Obviously, people are gonna want to be cops.
What
They're not gonna want to protect you when literally you arrest somebody for actually assaulting a cop on camera from 4 different angles, caught ray traced 4K with the Kelly Blue Book in hand. And somehow you're not, like, in jail, bro. Like, somehow you just get let loose the next day. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just okay to attack cops? That shit don't make any sense,
and that's not an opinion. Everybody knows the NYPD has a major staffing problem. Cops are leaving the force. They're being forced to do more with less. Just look around. The evidence of a short-staffed police force is everywhere. We are not living in a safe utopia that doesn't have any problems, that's for sure. Crime here's already going through the roof, and everybody's aware of it. Stack protests on top of this. What do you think is going to happen to this place? Oh, and remember, every single person that gets arrested at these protests, they're going to get back out. They're going to come back, and they're just going to be angry that their time was wasted in the back of a police car. And the scary thing about this idea of riots in New York is that the deck is totally stacked against our police, and everyone knows it deep down.
Our responsibility is to maintain safety and order on our streets. We will not tolerate people blocking streets, people blocking entrances to buildings, people blocking cars, chaos, violence, or disorder, and we will stamp that out when it appears.
I hope they can find a way to do that, but so far they haven't. Every single person they arrest is back out there. These people are all free to come back and do it again. But let's be real, the chief of police of a sanctuary city cannot go on mainstream news and say the police are finished and need help from President Trump. Oh no. But on top of that, everyone running New York right now, and whoever will be our future mayor in just a few months, has the same view of all this as the governor of California. They think this is all President Trump's fault. They think he's instigated it. And these people all support the protesters who they want to vote for them.
Basically,
except
anything
for
that's
our
not
current
Trump.
mayor who probably...
So I'm saying, like, it's literally so easy for them to fucking, you know, do it to themselves. You don't even have to try. You just literally be like, yeah, dude, I want just order, peace, and just, you know, everybody just chill, and they're gonna do the opposite because they don't like Trump.
Won't be reelected.
President Trump is going to do what suits President Trump. President Trump has already made a deal with this mayor that we know very well. The mayor is going to be cooperative with ICE. They are going to do things that are illegal and unconstitutional.
Ron Mamdani says he's going to be ready to deal with Trump if he gets elected mayor.
What we deserve in this moment
Donnie J.
is a mayor who can look that authoritarianism in the eye and not see a reflection of himself.
Yeah, I hate to say this. New York is a blue state. Whoever wins this Democrat primary for mayor, especially in this progressive city, they're going to be the next mayor. And none of these people have a platform that is anything other than resisting President Trump. That's what they're running on. How are these people going to get elected and then stand up to the protesters? They won't do that. They're going to be out there with the protesters. And former Governor Cuomo, who resigned, he says he's going to stand up to President Trump just like he did during 2020. He says he's going to do it again, and he can't wait to get back in the driver's seat. And sadly, whoever gets elected is going to have a mandate from the mob to stand up to the president, to resist ICE. And while they do it, their base is going to surround the wagons and tell them that they're on the right side of history. What do you think about that? Do these protesters have a legitimate grievance? Are these mayoral candidates right that people should stand up to the president of America that wants to enforce America's laws? Or is this sanctuary city just another place that is run by activists for activists? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Where's the other shit? Here we go.
Funny how you can finally have a peaceful protest when you just let the police go Rambo mode. As the anti-Trump No Kings protests march the streets of downtown Los Angeles, with Elijah Schaffer showing us they're just walking around the homeless because Trump is the problem in LA, waving all sorts of confusing, long-winded signs, including tax the rich. LA is a city of immigrants, and J.D. Vance ate my son. But the real issue was what they were saying.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything, and I don't understand why people voted for this person.
Including sacrifice ourselves as human shields.
Yeah, that's probably why. That's your first problem. You're like 74 years old. You should probably be retired from everything, miss. Look at all these jobless people, dude. Oh my god. Like, bro. Oh yeah?
Imagine showing up to this protest because social media told you Trump is a dictator. Then some lady on stage tells you you're here to be a human shield.
I like how they always just say things, but there's never any how, where, why, or when. There's no, you know, nothing like ever. That shit is crazy, dude.
That's some weapons-grade brainwashing if you stay, as they definitely knew they'd need some human shields. As the LA sheriffs came in with massive numbers, almost like a show of force parade. And Anthony Cabasa records how they brought back the armored cowboy cop cavalry, who immediately got to business pushing the protests away. With MSNBC desperately trying to control the narrative.
So you can see, whoa, they're messing with the horses, guys. Let's go. Let's back up here.
They're messing with the
obviously
horses,
people are
dude.
unhappy, Ari. People don't want to see horses trampling. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
Yeah, stop fucking with the horses, dude. Stop fucking with the horses, dude.
We're good. Keep going. We're good.
I understand he's trying to get out of the way for his own safety, but it really seems like he's trying not to show you how these idiots are antagonizing the police horses, as they'll complain about the police shoving back this old man, but ignore how he basically forced them to do it, as these police horses are actually doing a great job at crowd control.
There we go. I had a fucking 2 messages. Followers only chat.
And for whatever these horseback cowboy cops can't, the tear gas can. So when these activists tried to take back some of the
Actual
street, the
baboons.
sheriffs had no issues marching right through.
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly, and in the name of the people of the state of California, order all those assembled on Spring Street.
With the LAPD looking like a scene from the Revolutionary War.
That's actually hilarious.
As the city
dude.
eventually devolved into a combat zone.
Can you imagine people just started shooting back with Nerf guns
I really
and shit?
wonder if the mayor let
like
local
fucking
law enforcement
airsoft
do this
guns?
6 days ago, would they have been able to destroy any cop cars or loot any stores? As it really seems she only let the police do their thing so they don't get showed up
When
by
they already
Trump's
freaking
Marines.
destroyed everything.
As a USMC stayed at the ready outside the federal building, with BG on the
crazy,
scene
dude.
showing us them shaming the Marines. But
Shame
treating
on
them
you guys,
drastically
dude.
differently,
We're
as they're not
jobless
playing
activities.
with paintballs, the Marines are carrying M27s.
Actual
Interesting when you
guns,
don't
yeah,
treat
like
them
what?
like peaceful protesters, but idiots that just raised the city for several days, they suddenly know how to behave. As local
they
KTLA
saw how to
showed us
protest.
how quickly they quelled the crowds, but also stating this was following a day of peace.
You see how effective a fucking, like a 5.56 round is? You see how effective that is? You see how quickly these people went from, oh, we're not afraid of you. You can't arrest us on. To, quickly actually peacefully protesting. These guys are actual clowns, dude. Like, they're just such clowns. They don't even know what the fuck they're doing, saying, or they don't even know what they believe in.
Peaceful No Kings protests, conveniently omitting how the LAPD reported concrete, rocks, bottles, and commercial-grade fireworks being flung at police officers. And I admit, unlike the riots, there wasn't any burning of police vehicles or looting of sushi restaurants, but likely because they were actually
Looting of
allowed
sushi
to immediately
restaurant.
arrest any bad actors, as several cities like San Diego had peaceful protests.
Holy crap.
Even over in Philadelphia, it was much of the same. But if all these American flags at a liberal protest seem unfamiliar, it's because somebody was paying to have them massively distributed. And they weren't the only city astroturfing their protests with pro-American sentiments. But over in Texas, they had a very different approach to the No Kings movement.
What the fuck?
It's always interesting that they keep referencing
What the
a
fuck
fictional
was
story about oppressing women, while simultaneously they're openly endorsing the mass importing of a certain belief system into this country that is incredibly oppressive to women, and you don't have to watch a TV show, it's actually happening. I'm not trying to say they're wrong, I'm not trying to say they're right, I'm just saying it looks stupid. But at least they were peaceful, unlike in Washington where they pelted the police vehicles driving away. And in Seattle, scared drivers actually drove through their makeshift barricades. Then in Salt Lake City, there was a shooting.
Again, it's just so early right now. Fortunately, we have everyone involved in custody, and we're going to be sorting that out. We also had a lot of witnesses, and we're talking with the witnesses as well to see what we can learn.
But when looking at all the protest coverage, they barely seem to acknowledge it. And over in Portland, they're angry at the coppers pointing weapons at them, when later, they actually invaded an ICE facility, injuring several officers. Which really makes you wonder if they had the Marines, would any of this be happening? As over in New Jersey, they allegedly were protesting another federal building when a riot broke out and 4 known criminals ended up escaping. And did any of these activists step back and think, okay, maybe we're not necessarily accomplishing anything. No, they just mindlessly do whatever the mob tells them. As this
Monkey
No
see,
Kings rally
monkey
is
do.
essentially against Trump's deportations. But as of April, he's only shipped off 140,000 people. And I'm not a math Asian, but I think 140 in 4 months, multiplied by 3 to make the year, and times 4 for 4 years in office, should only make 1.6 million, which is nothing compared to how many people Obama deported without due process. And as Mays Moore shows us, he even campaigned on it, and they still voted for him.
The Bush administration has done nothing to control the problem that we have. We've had 5 million undocumented workers come over the borders.
They don't even know what they're fighting for.
Extraordinary problem. And the reason the American people are concerned is...
Like, they're literally trying to fight laws and trying to undo laws that the Democrats literally won on their last election. That's what I mean. This is why nobody wanted to vote for or believed in the Democrats this year, because they're fucking lying, hypocrite bastards. They are literally rules for me, not for thee. But like the laws are okay when they benefit us, but as soon as they, you know, as soon as they go against me, now we have to get rid of them. Like, what the fuck, dude? No, that's not how laws work.
They are seeing their own economic position slip away, and oftentimes employers are exploiting these undocumented workers. They're not paying the minimum wage. They're not observing worker safety laws. As president, I will make sure that we finally have the kind of border security that we need.
Obama is basically a MAGA conservative by today's standards, but the left simply adores him only because nobody has told them not to, as they have zero virtues, just NPC talking points to parrot. But the big question here is, if everybody should be allowed to simply walk in and become an American, with everything going on in the Middle East, with our allies' city being struck.
Yeah, that's what
as
we're about
they
to get in the
continue
next
to
video.
attack our enemies. If America gets involved in a hot conflict, do these newcomers get sent to the front line to die, or is that specifically reserved for American-born men? As we saw in the recent war in Eastern Europe, refugees that received social services for years immediately fled the country. And I honestly don't think somebody should be forced to the front lines to fight someone else's war. But when you have massive amounts of people demanding that they deserve to stay in America, so much that they're willing to destroy the city to prove their loyalty, should the need arise, are the Democrats then going to ask or even draft them to fight? And that answer tells you everything.
Exactly.
Don't doom scroll.
That's what I mean, dude. It's so easy to want to be like, yeah, no, I'm an American, but then when shit goes down, now, you know, you need to be sent to the front lines, now everybody's gonna start dipping out. This is what I mean, dude. It's rules for thee, not for me. These aren't actual Americans that want to become actual Americans. These are just people that are fucking lazy as shit, and they're criminals, and they're too lazy to do shit in their own country, so they think that by coming here, they're just gonna get the easy life. That's actually 100% what it is. Like, I don't know. I don't feel bad for these people. I want them to get deported. I want them to fuck out of here. Like, I don't know. Anyways, that's enough for this video. Make sure to leave a like and comment to subscribe on not Asmon, on fucking Decoy Voice and Cash Jordan. I'll leave the links in the videos. And then when you're done, come back here and make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video.